Dr. Johnston, can you share a little bit about your parents' journey with hospice care from Applegate?
Sure, I'd be happy to. We began hospice care with Applegate when my father, about 1.5 years ago, was nearing the end of his life after a struggle with pancreatic cancer. And it was determined and recommended to us that we begin hospice care. And I knew Wes Hansen, have known him for many, many years. But I also knew Kelly. She had been a patient in my office for many years, had known her for a long time too. So the choice actually was pretty easy for us. They came highly recommended from the care facility where my folks were staying. And so we began with them and were pleased with the care that we received. They helped my dad as he neared the end of his life with some comfort care and helped support us emotionally and so forth to understand what the process was going to be for the end of his life. And then when he passed, they were there immediately and were there and very supportive in that process. And then about 1 year later, my mom had some Alzheimer's and some dementia issues, and that became increasingly more difficult. And then we involved them also in the care of my mom, who passed away about 2 months ago. And they were especially helpful in that situation to help us understand the dementia process and what that disease process was going to look like, and helped us to understand what she was going through and how we could best benefit and help her to be comfortable and help her through that process as well. And again, at the end of her life, they were there and helpful and consistent in their care. So I felt really good about the service we received from them.
Next question we have is, how did Applegate's hospice team support you and your family during this challenging time?
Well, we had support from nursing. They made regular visits and reported to us. We ended up having a text group that was really handy. Whenever a nurse made a visit or a CNA made a visit to one of our parents, we developed this text group, so we all stayed informed, and that was really helpful. I had a sister that was out of state. I had a brother that was in Bountiful, and so we were able to communicate well that way. That was great. We had some chaplain services. He paid visits to our folks when we weren't there, for example, and then reported back to us on those visits. And we just felt like there was some good, consistent care. When medication became more appropriate, then they helped to administer and manage that as well.
Can you describe the level of care and compassion your parents received from Applegate staff?
We really felt like they took a genuine interest in my folks and in us also. Just felt like there was good communication there and that it was genuine.
How did Applegate help you and your family navigate the emotional and practical aspects of end-of-life care?
End-of-life care involves some things that can be very unpleasant in terms of personal hygiene, personal care for the individual who is nearing the end of their life, and they took care of those things easily and very competently. Always kept us informed and involved. I thought that was really helpful. And also, especially with my mom understanding what this disease process was going to look like, and it occurred over many months. It was a lengthy journey and with a lot of ups and downs. And they kind of helped us understand what to expect and how to anticipate and how to kind of process what was going on.
Based on your experience, would you recommend Applegate's hospice services to other families in need?
Yeah, I would, and I have. I think that, again, after the services that we received from my dad, a year or 6-8 months later, we were involved again in that similar situation and didn't hesitate to involve Applegate again to care for my mom. So I think that speaks highly of their care. And yeah, I would recommend them without hesitation.
Perfect. Thanks, Dr. Johnston, for speaking with us today.
You're very welcome. Happy to do it.